What's going on, everybody? We're back here with some more our last NFL game preview of the week. We got the Rams versus the Texans here. A key game for the Texans. Another stepping stone game for the Rams. As the Rams continue to, push ahead. They're first in the NFC West, jumping out a whole game, or technically a half a game because they lost the game to the Seahawks. Technically a half a game. In front of the NFC, in front of the Rams. I mean, not the Rams, the Seahawks. And the Seahawks have a key divisional game tonight against the Cardinals. I previewed them earlier in the week. Make sure you go check that out. For the Texans, a lot of their problems start right now at quarterback. The loss of Deshaun Watson was huge. Deshaun Watson was doing some phenomenal things at the quarterback position, and this would have been a very much more intriguing matchup had we been talking about Deshaun Watson versus the LA Rams defense. But, in this game right here, we're talking about Tom Savage and the Houston Texans versus Jared Goff and the LA Rams here. For the Texans, Tom Savage has to make plays down the field, and this defense needs to find a way to get stops on this explosive offense. So, leading into that, let's talk about some of our key matchups here. Key matchup number one, we got Tom Savage versus the Rams defense. Now, as a Cowboy fan, I know what type of defensive scheme Wade Phillips likes to run. He runs at 3-4. His outside linebackers are the ones who bring the outside pressure, contain. Those guys play, rush the quarterback and play the run as they go. And from his nose tackle, he wants his nose tackle to eat up blocks and be quick and explosive, and his defensive ends to hold their edge. This Rams defense is very opportunistic. They have a very underrated defensive front here, and their back four has played collectively well. Tremaine Johnson is a great cover corner in this league who doesn't get enough credit. I know he's been franchise tagged, I think, the last 2 years, and I know that they don't really have. I don't think that they shadow guys with Tremaine Johnson. And he sticks on his one side. But when DeAndre Hopkins lines up across from him, it'll be a fun matchup to watch. But Tom Savage has to make plays down the field. In their game last week against the Colts, he was not making plays down the field. He had the one pass to DeAndre Hopkins that led to a touchdown. And he had a chance to tie the game or even take home a victory last week, and he couldn't come through with it. I just feel like Tom Savage is very overvalued by the Texans for some reason. I know that's why they drafted Deshaun Watson, to be their starting quarterback of the future. But Tom Savage, I just don't see him fitting into this Houston Texans offense. This Houston Texans offense was specifically built for Deshaun Watson. And what I see from this Rams defense is I see that this team is going to get tons of pressure on Tom Savage. I feel like they're going to be able to shut down Lamar Miller in the running game. And I feel like they're going to jump out to a big enough lead to the point where they can pin their ears back and go get Tom Savage, in pressure him, force some turnovers, things like that. I had the Rams defensive fantasy, so I'm starting them this week. That's just a key fantasy tip this week. Fantasy advice. If you have the Rams defense, I would start them this week. Our number two key matchup here is going to be Todd Gurley versus the Texans front seven. Todd Gurley, at the start of the season was running like crazy. I think he was averaging close to like 150 total yards of offense a game. That number has leveled off a little bit, but the Rams do know their success relies upon Todd Gurley. Todd Gurley getting tons of touches. I'm thinking 20 to 25. 30 is terrific. He's a star running back in this league. He's a special talent. And I just don't think the Texans match up well versus this Rams offensive line enough, because without J.J. Watt, Whitney Mercilus, and relying upon Jadeveon Clowney to be that one guy to get key stops or make a key play is a lot to ask upon him. I just feel like that Texans defense is good, but it's not great. I just feel like Todd Gurley is going to be able to find his holes, average close to 4.5 yards per carry, catch a couple passes, get involved in the passing game. This offense is explosive. So, they don't have a stud receiver. I know people are going to say that Sammy Watkins is a stud receiver, but he's really not. He hasn't even found, other guys in this Rams offense have made bigger plays than Sammy Watkins. Sammy Watkins had the big play last week, but I feel like Goff's favorite target has been Robert Woods and Cooper Kupp. And things like that just level off. That if the Rams are able to get a viable and actual number one receiver outside of Sammy Watkins, if Sammy Watkins is your two, I feel like you have a Super Bowl caliber team. I'm not saying that the Rams are not Super Bowl caliber, because They have a great special teams unit. They have a great defense. Not great, but a very, very good defense. And they have the running game. It's not going to come down to Goff throwing the ball. So that's just something that I feel like we're going to have to look at, though, of going back to Todd Gurley against his defense. Todd Gurley, I expect to have over 120 scrimmage yards in this game. And number three, key thing for this matchup is I'm going to just go right back to what I was talking about, the special teams unit. The Rams special teams unit is probably the best in football. Their special teams coordinator is phenomenal. Their punting unit is phenomenal. Greg Zuerlein has been phenomenal in the kicking game. It's just not much you can say negatively about this Rams special teams unit. Even when they were bad with Jeff Fisher, they still had the best special teams unit in the game, in my opinion. Johnny Hecker doesn't get the love that he deserves as a punter, but he changes field position, and they have a couple gadget plays out of their special teams unit that I've seen in the past couple years that they use. So, jumping into our three reasons why here, three reasons why each team could win this game. Let's go start with the Texans. For the Texans, it's plain and simple. Tom Savage has to not turn the ball over, and he has to complete over 65% of his passes in this game. And by 65% of his passes, that means he has to throw for 220 yards. He has to complete about 20 passes. And, just 20 passes, 220 yards, a touchdown or two. Keep this game close, to give your guys a chance in this game. Finding DeAndre Hopkins, finding Will Fuller, finding Lamar Miller in the passing game. It's just things like that. For number two, it's going to be getting off the field on third down or even forcing third downs against this Rams offense. We just saw the Rams offense put 51 up on the New York Giants. I think the New York Giants have a much superior defense than the Houston Texans. Yeah, it hasn't shown this year, but on paper, if you're looking at it on paper, the New York Giants have a superior defense than the Houston Texans. And the New York Giants season is in the gutter, and the Houston Texans are still playing for something. But I just feel like if the Houston Texans get off the field on third down, force third downs, force third and longs, get pressures on Goff, they have a chance to win this game or even be in position to win this game. And number three, I think Lamar Miller needs to touch the ball about 25 times in this game. If he can touch the ball around 20 to 25 times, have close to 100 total yards, I think it gives the Texans enough chance to win this game. I think because they need to control the clock, they need to control the ball, keep that offense of the Rams off the field. That's what I think if they want to have a chance to win this game. Now, jumping to our three reasons why for the Rams. The Rams is plain and simple, cut and dry, feed Todd Gurley. You have a stud running back, feed him the rock 30 times. I do think that they're going to do that. I think they're going to stick to their game plan. Sean McVay has made terrific second half adjustments if something is not going, and he makes great in-game adjustments. Him and Wade Phillips are probably the adjustment kings right now in 10 weeks through the season. That's just how I see it. Number two for the Rams, it's going to be forcing Tom Savage to beat you. I feel like I said earlier, Tom Savage is just not a good NFL quarterback. I think he's a very mediocre quarterback. He should best be served as a backup who doesn't ever have to play. So that's what I think. If they can force him into third and longs, get a couple sacks, force a couple turnovers, they have a great chance to win this game. And number three, that special teams unit. Yeah. Special teams doesn't really win the game. But if you win 2 out of 3 phases in a football game, you will win this game. You will win any NFL game. And the special teams unit for the Rams, let's say they do get stopped on third down. They have to punt. Johnny Hecker can flip field position just like that. Let's say they get stopped in field goal range. Greg Zuerlein has a great leg, and he's been very accurate this season. That's points on the board. As long as you come away with every possession with points, you have a great chance to win the game. And I feel like the Rams over the last couple years have forced turnovers in their special teams unit, so that's something to look out for here. So, that's our three reasons why. Now, my prediction for this game is I don't think this game is going to be close. I think the Rams are going to win 31-17. They could put up even more, probably 38-17. I just think, I'll go back to what I said. Tom Savage is not good. The supporting cast around Tom Savage is good, minus that offensive line who traded Dwayne Brown. Lamar Miller's a solid running back. DeAndre Hopkins is a great receiver, and the complementary receivers are really great. They need Deshaun Watson back ASAP. You have to wait for next season to see Deshaun Watson. Texans defense is missing a lot of key pieces on that front seven. And I just think the Rams offense is just way too much for this Texans team in general. Wade Phillips coaching against a team that he defensive coordinated. I just feel like that front seven for the Rams is going to get pressured, force turnovers, and this game is just going to be a waltz for them. They'll be able to take out Todd Gurley and use a backup to carry the load in the final quarter, probably even. So that's going to do it for me in the NFL game previews this week. Yeah, thank you for watching. I am out. We'll be catching you guys next week. Next week is going to be a huge week. I'm going to actually do a movie preview review. Yeah, I'm a huge Justice League fan right now, so I'm going to do one of those. We have game previews coming next week. I'll get to working on those following Sunday's games. And I appreciate everyone that has watched my videos. I'm out. Make sure to hit that subscribe button. Peace!